Good morning, students. Welcome to Sai CA Coaching Center. This is CA Ms. Swaminathan. Today, the topic for discussion will be rectification of errors in principles and practice of accounting as part of CA Foundation syllabus. Well, I guess students, your faces, I'm sure, will brighten up. I guess that your eyes as well will be sparkling the moment you've heard that today's session would deal with rectification of errors. Nevertheless, we will have this session done to probably try and further brighten your faces by the end of the session. The title is extremely clear, rectification of errors. Before we march ahead with the topic, let us appreciate that to err is human. Therefore, every human is likely to commit an error, and hence the possibility, of course, remains even in the case of accounting, as it is also done by humans. Well, even in a mechanized setup, if the automated program is set up in an incorrect way with regard to the rules, then obviously errors would crop up which would need to be rectified. Or sometimes when there could be a system bug as well, a problem, that could also result in an error which might have to be rectified later. Hence, it is absolutely critical for each of us to understand this topic in a very clear manner. Well, when we talk about errors, the very first thing that we should try to understand is what are the different stages at which errors could be committed, or what are the different types of errors that could typically be committed. Now, at the stage of recording the transactions, which is journalizing or recording it in the subsidiary books, the type of errors that could occur is 1, an error of principle, 2, an error of omission, and 3, an error of commission. Okay, now let us take up the very first case, which is error of principle. Now, an error of principle will be defined as one which is recorded in contravention or violation of the basic accounting principles. Now, let us just try to understand through a few examples as to what is an error of principle. Well, this would amount to something like a recap of what you have already understood as part of your first chapter where we dealt with the concepts of accounting. Now let us take, for example, an entity concept which states that one must differentiate between the personal transactions and the business transactions of the entrepreneur. Only business transactions must be routed through the business books of accounts. Personal transactions must not be routed. If at all they are routed, must be debited to the proprietor's capital account by way of drawings. Right? Now let us take an example where the proprietor, who is you, basically has gifted some valuable item worth 50,000 rupees to your parent on the occasion of their birthday. Now, that gift is something that you are personally giving to your parent and hence has got no connection with your business account. Now, even if the check is issued out of the business account, the entry in the books of your firm must be drawings account debit to bank account. But suppose you book the entry as miscellaneous expenditure account debit rupees 50,000 to bank account 50,000, then you are violating the entity concept, which is nothing but error of principle. Take another example. Let us say, for example, we look at the matching concept. Okay, suppose, as we know that we are supposed to, at the end of the year, record entries relating to outstanding salaries or to prepaid rent, etc., because the benefit of that expenditure or the income will be received either in the next year or so. So we match the expense with the corresponding revenue. In fact, let us take the example of prepaid rent. The benefit of having paid the rent now itself in advance will not be derived in the current financial year, will be derived only in the next financial year. And hence, at the end of the current financial year, we record the following journal entry to reflect this based on matching concept. Prepaid rent account debit, maybe 10,000 to rent account. Now, if you fail to pass this journal entry, it means that the prepaid rent has been charged to the current year's rental expenditure, which is incorrect. Well, this might look to you to be an error of commission, but it is not so. It is an error of principle because you have failed to comply with the matching concept. Similarly, if you are supposed to or if you're liable to pay some person 5,000 rupees by way of an expenditure, and if you fail to accrue for that expenditure at the end of the year, which you are liable to pay, then you are actually violating the accrual concept, and hence that is also an error of principle and just not an error of commission. If you fail to apply the going concern concept, or let us assume that when the going concern concept is not to be applied because you expect that the business will be significantly curtailed in the near future or you might close it down, then you're not supposed to follow the going concern concept. Correct? You're supposed to highlight this in your financial statements together with the reason and the quantification of the impact. If you do not adopt that and you actually prepare your financial statements based on the going concern concept only, meaning you would have resorted to the historical cost basis of presenting your financial statements instead of probably the realization concept that is to be used, then you are again violating the basic principles of accounting. So that's again an error of principle. Now, suppose the inventory that you hold has a cost price of rupees 100, which can be sold in the market only for 95. Then you are supposed to present the inventory as closing stock in your financial statements only at 95, which is the market price, which is lesser than the cost price, right? This is based on conservatism concept. Now, if you violate this concept and present inventory in your financial statements or closing stock not at 95 but at 100 rupees only, which is the cost price, then this also cannot be termed just as an error of commission, but has to be termed only or categorized only as an error of principle because you are violating the conservatism concept. Now, realize one thing. The error of principle will not throw your trial balance out of balance. It will keep the trial balance as in a tallied position only. So it's quite tricky to be able to identify whether an error is indeed of principle or of some other nature. Now, I guess we have analyzed a few examples with regard to errors of principle. I hope you will be clear with regard to error of principle, because generally students are lacking in clarity with regard to what is an error of principle. They might generally tend to categorize it as an error of commission or even probably in rare instances as an error of omission. Largely it will be treated as an error of commission. Please be very careful when you present your analysis. Now, error of omission is a second category. Now, this can include either a partial omission or a complete omission. Now, since we are looking at the recording stage, if we omit to record though generally errors of omission can be categorized into partial and complete omission, at the time of recording a transaction, generally what might happen is error of omission would be complete in nature because you would have omitted the transaction from being recorded, right? Therefore, this kind of a complete omission also will not impact the trial balance. It will not throw the trial balance out of order. For example, in your sale day book, if you failed to record as credit sale made to A worth 100 rupees, then neither is the customer account A debited nor is the sales account credited with rupees 100. Hence, the trial balance would still tally. Then there is this error of commission, which of course would be recording something incorrectly in terms of the amount. Instead of recording an amount as 100, you might have recorded it as 200, or probably instead of recording it as sales account credit, you might have gone and debited the sales account. So that could also be an error of commission at the recording stage. Then at the posting stage into the ledgers, you can very well have errors of commission or errors of omission. Now, with regard to errors of omission, it could be partial or complete. For example, if you have made a credit sale worth 100 to Mr. A, which is recorded in the sale day book correctly, but at the time of posting, you have debited A's ledger account with rupees 100, but failed to credit sales account with 100, then there is a partial omission. Similarly, if you actually fail to debit A's account with 100 and also credit sales account with 100, then it is a complete omission. Well, at this stage, let me just caution you. Though I have given you the example of sales from a sale day book, please do not forget what I have taught to you about subsidiary book posting. With regard to sale day book posting, once again for your clarificatory purpose, I am repeating, the customer account will be updated immediately, but the sales account will be updated periodically after the sale day book is casted at the end of the period. I have given you the example today, assuming that you don't have a subsidiary book. It is just a journal entry being passed as A debit, Mr. A debit to sales. Okay, but in future, when we analyze rectification of errors, we will of course be resorting only to the subsidiary book concept that I have explained in the earlier session as well as clarified now. Now, there could be an error of commission at the time of posting to entries into the ledger. It could be posting to a wrong account. So instead of actually debiting A's account, I might have gone and debited B's account. Correct? Well, the second category is posting on the wrong side. Instead of debiting A's account, I go and credit A's account. And last one, posting of wrong amount. Instead of debiting A's account with 100 rupees, I go and debit A's account with 1000 rupees. And the errors that are committed at the stage of balancing the ledger accounts can be of two types: wrong totaling of account, wrong balancing of account. Be very clear about this. Let us, for example, take the case of capital account of the proprietor. It has an opening balance of 1 lakh. There is a fresh capital injected in the current year of 50,000. Okay. Now, the total on the credit side in the ledger account must be 1,50,000. Okay. Now, let us assume that a withdrawal of 20,000 has taken place in the current year, which is debited to the capital account. Now, the credit side total we know must be 1,50,000, but if you have totaled it as 1,40,000, then your closing balance will be 1,40,000 on the credit side, 20,000 withdrawn by way of withdrawals. So your closing balance will be 1,20,000. Now, this case that we have now discussed is not a wrong balancing of account. It is a wrong totaling of account, and hence automatically the balance is also wrong. Be very clear in terms of the difference between wrong totaling of account and wrong balancing of account. A wrong totaling of account necessarily results in a wrong balancing. Results in a wrong balance being arrived at. I repeat, 1 lakh plus 50,000 on the credit side of the capital account must be totaled as 1,50,000, but you have totaled it as 1,40,000. This is a wrong totaling of account. Hence, when you subtract the drawings of 20,000 from 1,40,000, you will write the closing balance as 1,20,000. This 1,20,000 closing balance is incorrect, and the reason for that is because of wrong totaling of account and not wrong balancing of account. What then is the wrong balancing of account? Let us look at the following example. The credit side of the capital account has opening balance 1 lakh. The next entry is fresh capital injected worth 50,000. The total has been written correctly as 1,50,000 on the credit side. On the debit side, there is a withdrawal of 20,000 posted correctly. But when you draw up the closing balance, instead of writing 1,30,000, by mistake you write it as 1,20,000. This is a wrong balancing of the ledger account. And then at the stage of preparing the trial balance, you can have an error of omission, meaning you may by mistake omit to take the salaries account, ledger account balance to the trial balance itself. So you might omit taking an account. There could also be an error of commission, which is, for example, you can take the interest income account balance of 500 from the general ledger to the trial balance as miscellaneous income account by mistake. So taking a wrong account. 2, you can take a wrong amount. The interest income account had 500 rupees, but when you take it to the trial balance, you take it as 400 rupees. Possible. Taking to the wrong side. Instead of taking interest income 500 to the credit side in the trial balance, you take it to the debit side. These are the different types of errors that can occur. Okay, these are the basics. Now let us move on with broadly analyzing the errors into different categories. 1 will be your error of principal, 2 error of omission, 3 error of commission, and 4 compensating errors. Okay, we have already discussed errors of principal. Now, errors of omission as well we have discussed, which could be partial or could be complete. At the recording stage, generally it is complete. At the posting stage, it could be partial or full. And at the preparation of the trial balance stage as well, there could be omission which can be included. Now, coming to the errors of commission, it could be either writing a wrong account or writing a wrong amount or taking it to the wrong side of the ledger account or to the wrong side of the trial balance or posting an entry twice. Correct? There could be several types of errors of commission. Now, the last category would be a compensating error. The fact that it is compensating itself makes it quite dangerous because compensating errors cannot be identified by the look of a trial balance, as the trial balance will definitely tally. So you might have missed to debit A's account with 100. Similarly, you might have missed to credit C's account with 100. Therefore, the trial balance will indeed tally and it becomes difficult to identify such kind of errors. Okay. Now, let us actually move on in the following on the following basis. Now, the way we are going to look at rectification of errors is, in your study material, you will be seeing that errors can also be analyzed in another manner, okay, by dividing them into 2 categories. 1, those errors that affect the trial balance and those errors which do not affect the trial balance. And with respect to those errors that affect the trial balance, there are a list of about 10 different transactions which are given to explain the concept. We will look at them individually. And with regard to the errors which don't affect the trial balance, 3 examples are given. We will look at them as well. But then, the way we will progress is, as we look at each of them, how do we also rectify them? It's critical to understand that. So from a rectification of each of these, what we will do is, in the subsequent pages, you will see in your study material that rectification of errors can be made at 3 different stages. Stage 1 is before preparing the trial balance. 2 is after preparing the trial balance, but before preparing the final accounts. And 3 is after preparing the final accounts, which means in the next accounting period. So what we will try to do is, either for each of these cases or at least for a couple of them, we will try to analyze what is the impact of the error How will the ledger accounts look like, the respective ledger accounts? As a result of that, how will the trial balance look like? And when we try to rectify them, we will analyze them into those 3 stages or at least 2 stages. Why 2? Because rectification in the next accounting period can be dealt with separately as a dedicated segment. Okay, then I guess you will have a holistic view of the entire process right from start till the rectification. Now, let me pick up the first example given in the study material with respect to those types of errors that affect the trial balance. First, wrong casting of the subsidiary book. Now let us take the example of a purchase day book, and let us assume that we have just 2 transactions there which are recorded. Purchased from Mr. X rupees 100, purchased from Mr. Y rupees 200, and therefore when we cast the subsidiary book at the end of the month, I am sure all of us will agree that the casting should result in a total of rupees 300, right? Now, I have already explained how the posting of the subsidiary book occurs. Let us have a recap. If on the 15th of the month, from A we purchased for 100 at 10 a.m., immediately at 10 a.m. in the general ledger, A's account will be credited. On the credit side, we will write by purchases rupees 100. And on the 20th of the month, if we have purchased from Mr. B at 10 a.m., on the 20th, immediately we will go to the general ledger, open B's ledger account and credit rupees 200 with a narration by purchases. Well, as I keep telling this, you may take your notebook and draw up the ledger accounts and then note how it looks like. That's the reason why I am traveling or narrating a little slowly. Now, at this point, we know that A's ledger account is credited with 100 and B's ledger account is credited with 200. Now, at the end of the month, when we casted, we should have casted it at 300. Now, when we cast it, since the point that we are discussing is wrong casting of subsidiary book, we might have overcasted or undercasted. Suppose we have overcasted it as 301. Okay. Then, at the end of the month on the 30th, in the general ledger, we will go to the sales ledger account, the purchases ledger account, and on the debit side, we will write two sundry creditors or purchases made during the month, rupees 301. Correct? Purchase account will be debited with rupees 301 because purchase account will be debited after the casting is made. Now immediately draw up a trial balance on your notebook. How will it look like? A's account credit rupees 100, B's account on the credit side 200, purchase account on the debit side 301. And if you total the trial balance, you notice that the debit side total is 301 and the credit side total is 300 only. Now you realize that the trial balance is out of order. So you want to rectify it. Now stage 1 of rectification is before the trial balance is prepared. So the moment it is out of order, well, let's not even prepare the trial balance. You just happen to scan through your books and you realize that this error has happened. How you identified, leave it. You just happen to spot it. Immediately what do? You want to rectify. Now, when you rectify, how would you rectify? You know that A's account is appropriately credited, B's account is appropriately credited, only the purchase account is inappropriately debited. Therefore, now you go and open the purchase ledger account, and on the credit side you would write by way of a single side adjustment only, meaning you will not pass a journal entry. It is only a single entry that you will pass. I repeat, in the purchase ledger account, on the credit side, you will write by error in casting purchase day book, 1 rupee. Now your purchase account, if you rebalance it, will show 301 after rectification. When I am saying rebalance, I am just trying to indicate the net difference between 301 and 1 rupee. Please don't think nominal accounts will be balanced. I have already said they are never balanced because they will be transferred to the trading or profit and loss account. Now, after this rectification, single side rectification that you have recorded, if you now draw up a trial balance, you will be able to see that yes, A's account credit on the credit side 100, B's account credit on the credit side 200, purchase account on the debit side 300, and it tallies. Okay. Now, in case the same transaction were to be rectified as part of stage 2, which is after preparation of trial balance, which means you have opened a suspense account. Since the trial balance did not agree, we saw that the debit side was higher than the credit side by 1 rupee. We have to compulsorily now open a suspense account in the trial balance. Correct? And the 1 rupee, the suspense account will have to be opened only with an amount of rupee 1. And that 1 rupee will have to appear on the credit side of the trial balance. Therefore, the suspense account in the general ledger will be opened, and on the credit side of the suspense account, we will write by difference in TB rupee 1 on the credit side of the suspense account. Okay. Now, after opening the suspense account, if you look at your new TB, it will look as follows. A on the credit side rupees 100, B on the credit side rupees 200, suspense account on the credit side 1 rupee, purchase account on the debit side 301 rupee, and the total of both sides will be 301. I hope you have noted this down as well. Now, you have started identifying the cause of the error because you don't want suspense to remain forever. Even in a movie, you want the suspense to end, correct? Otherwise, life becomes difficult. Now, when you identify the error, you notice that the purchase account was wrongly overcasted, correct? Therefore, now you will pass the following journal entry. Debit the suspense account with rupee 1, credit purchase account with rupee 1. Remember very clearly, in the first stage where you did not open a suspense account, to rectify the same error, you were not required to pass a journal entry. You did it only through a single side adjustment. Now, why did you do it as a single side adjustment? Because the trial balance was out of order. Now, remember very clearly, whenever the trial balance is out of order, and the difference is parked in the suspense account, then it represents that only those transactions which require a single side adjustment, if suspense account were not to be opened, only such type of single side errors can arrive or land up in the suspense account if the suspense account is opened. So I repeat, in the past you found that 1 rupee was not credited to the suspense account, hence you didn't need a journal entry to rectify. You just went and credited it in the purchase account. But now, because that 1 rupee was parked in the suspense account, you have to compulsorily record the rectification only through a journal entry, and you have to use the suspense account because the difference has landed in the suspense account. Okay. Once you pass this rectification entry, your revised trial balance will look as follows. A on the credit side 100, B on the credit side 200, purchase on the debit side 300 and it perfectly tallies. Now let us pick up the second case, which is wrong balancing of an account. Now taking the same, with regard to the second example, which is wrong balancing of account, let me clarify one point in general. As we discuss whichever example we will be doing in the list given, each example that we discuss will have to be looked at independently and not as a continuation of the earlier example that we discussed, unless I specify that yes, it is a continuation. Okay. So now coming to wrong balancing of account, let us for example take the same case which we discussed earlier. A's account was credited with rupees 100. B's account, ledger account, was credited with rupees 200 in the general ledger. Purchase account was debited with now exactly rupees 300 only and not with 301 as was done in example 1. Okay. So now we know that the ledger accounts are correctly updated. But when you balance the account, we know only A's account and B's account must be balanced, not the purchase account because it is nominal in nature. Now suppose when you balance A's account, ledger account, though you have written on the credit side 100 only and you total the credit side as 100 only, but by mistake, due to some factor, on the debit side you write to balance carried down 99 rupees. So you have wrongly balanced it, but you again write the total on the debit side as 100 only. I hope the point is clear. You have wrongly balanced the account. Now with respect to B, no error committed. You balance it as 200 only. Now when you look at a trial balance, your trial balance will look as follows. Note it down and see. A on the credit side 99 rupees. B on the credit side 200 rupees and purchase on the debit side 300 rupees. Now you realize that the trial balance is again off. The debit side is higher than the credit side by 1 rupee. Correct? Therefore, now what do? Depends on the stage at which you are rectifying the error. Coming back to stage 1, meaning before preparing the trial balance. Well, let me also clarify, I have asked you to prepare the trial balance immediately only for being able to see how the error crops up. In real life, before the trial balance is seen, as you go through your records, sometimes you notice an error committed by you. So that's how it pops up. Okay. And now when you rectify before opening the trial balance, since you notice that the error lies only in A's account, it is a single side error. Therefore, now you will go to A's ledger account and on the debit side you will write by error in balancing, you can add 1 rupee and say it is 100 rupees. Now you will come back and look at a new trial balance which will be as follows. A credit 100, B credit 200, purchase debit 300 and it perfectly tallies. Okay. Now the same example, if you were to rectify it using suspense account, which means after the trial balance has been opened. Now in the trial balance, what did you notice? A credit 99, B credit 200, purchase debit 300. Therefore, debit side is higher than credit side by 1 rupee. Hence, you will open a suspense account on credit side with rupee 1. And now you will open a ledger account in the name of suspense in the general ledger. On the credit side, you will write by difference in TB 1 rupee on the credit side. Now when you identify the error, immediately you will rectify it by passing the following journal entry. Suspense account debit 1 rupee to A's account 1 rupee. Therefore, now suspense account becomes 0 after passing the rectification entry and A's ledger account becomes equal to 100. Correct? Because in A's ledger account, on the credit side, you will write by 1. Therefore, 99 plus 1 will become 100. Okay. Now the revised trial balance will look as follows. A, credit side 100. B, debit column 200. Purchase debit column 300. Suspense will not appear. The total of debit side will be 300 and that of the credit side will be 100 plus 200 is equal to 300. Therefore, you have rectified this as well. Now, with regard to example 3, which is posting an amount on the wrong side, let us take the first example itself. The general ledger will have the following 3 ledger accounts. A account credit 100, B account credit 100, purchase account debit 300. Now, when you are supposed to post, this is how you should expect it to be from the purchase day book when the posting happens. But when you post it, what happened is, with regard to A's account, you have posted it correctly on the credit side as 100. With regard to B, you credited it correctly as 200. But when you were casting and posting it to the purchase ledger account at the end of the month, you went and credited the purchase ledger account with 300 rupees by mistake. Now, when you prepare the trial balance, it looks as follows. A on in credit column 100, B in credit column 200, purchase in credit column 300, and therefore you find that your trial balance should actually be titled as not tallying, correct? Because you just have a credit total of 600, debit side nothing is there, debit column. You are immediately able to spot the difference. Okay. Now, if you are going to rectify this in stage 1, let me repeat, you have not opened the trial balance at all. I am repeating, I have asked you to open it and write it only for clarification purposes, for you to be able to imagine it. Okay. The moment you see in the general ledger that purchase account is showing a credit balance, immediately you know that there is an error there. You don't need to prepare the TB to realize that error, correct? How do you rectify? Immediately in the purchase ledger account, by way of a single side adjustment, you will write on the debit side by error in posting on wrong side, and 600 rupees is what you will write on the debit side. After you record the single side adjustment, your purchase account will now reflect a debit balance of rupees 300. Now, if you prepare a trial balance, it will look as follows. A in the credit column 100, B in the credit column 200, and purchase in the debit column 300, and it perfectly tallies. Suppose you were to rectify the same example as part of stage 2, which is after opening the trial balance, which means you have opened a suspense account compulsorily. Now, how was the trial balance appearing? A in the credit column 100, B in the credit column 200, purchase in the credit column 300, and suspense in the debit column 600. Now you go to your general ledger and open a suspense account, and on the debit side of the suspense account, you will write to difference in TB 600 rupees. Okay. Then, when you identify the error, you will rectify it by way of the following journal entry. Debit purchase ledger account 600 to suspense ledger account 600. Once you post this journal to the ledgers, your suspense account will automatically become 0 and your purchase ledger account will reflect a balance of rupees 300 debit balance. Now, if you prepare a trial balance after the rectification, it will appear as follows. A on the debit column 100, B in the A in the credit column 100, B in the credit column 200, purchase in the debit column 300, and it perfectly tallies. Take the fourth example, posting the wrong amount. Well, here you need to be clear. Suppose your journal is going to be, for example, salary to outstanding salary 100 rupees, Now, if you post the 100 rupees incorrectly to both the salary account and the outstanding salary account equally, then the trial balance will not be out. What I mean is, if you debit salary account with 150 and you credit outstanding salary account also when you are posting it as 150, then both sides are being inflated by 150 rupees. Therefore, the trial balance will not get affected. So what is meant with over here in the example, posting the wrong amount where trial balance will be out, will be as follows. Either only the salary ledger account is debited with 150 but salary outstanding is credited with 100 only, or you can also say salary account is debited with 150, salary outstanding account is credited with 160, then also the trial balance will be out, correct? Now, I will pick up only the case of salary to salary outstanding, and salary is being debited with 150, but salary outstanding is being credited with 100 only. That's the example I will take up. The other one you can decide for yourself. Now, since the entry is salary to outstanding salary, amount is 100 and 100, but the amount has been wrong. The example is posting, which means not recording. It is posting to the ledger account. The error lies in the ledger account, not in the journal. Be very clear with the words. So, since the salary account has been debited with 150 instead of 100, our salary ledger account will be debited with 150. And in the general ledger, the outstanding salary account will be credited with 100 only. Now just imagine, if you draw up a trial balance, it will be as follows. Salary account in debit column 150, outstanding salary in the credit column 100 only. Therefore, we are able to notice that the trial balance is out of order. But if you rectify this as part of stage 1, which is before preparation of trial balance, it is implied that you have been able to spot this error automatically. Therefore, using a single side adjustment, you will pass in the salary ledger account, you will go to the general ledger, salary ledger account, and on the credit side you will write by error in posting, and you will record 50 rupees there. After posting that entry, the salary account will automatically reflect only 100 rupees. Now, if you prepare a trial balance, it will appear as follows. Salary debits column 100, outstanding salary credit column 100, and the TB tallies. Now, if the same example were to be solved as part of stage 2, which is after preparation of trial balance, now what will happen? Your original trial balance is looking as follows. Salary debit 150, outstanding salary credit column 100. Therefore, since in the trial balance debit side is higher than credit side by 50 rupees, suspense account will be opened in the general ledger as follows. On the credit side, by difference in TB, 50 rupees, and hence in your trial balance you will write suspense account on the credit column 50 rupees. So your TB will now look as follows. Salary debit side 150, outstanding salary credit column 100, suspense account credit column 50 rupees. Now when you rectify, you have to use the suspense account to pass a journal entry. The entry will be suspense account debit 50 rupees to salary account 50 rupees. Once you post this into the respective ledger accounts, you notice that suspense account will become 0, salary account will show a balance of only 100 as a debit balance. And now if you prepare a TB, it appears as follows. Salary in the debit column 100 rupees, outstanding salary in the credit column 100 rupees, and there is no error now. The TB perfectly tallies. The next example, 5th, is omitting to post an amount from a subsidiary book. Okay, please read it carefully. Omitting to post an amount from a subsidiary book, meaning the entry has been recorded in the subsidiary book but only omitted to be posted. Now, what happens when we discuss about subsidiary book posting? Please recollect carefully. If we are discussing about a purchase day book, then the vendor account will be updated or posted immediately, but the purchase account will be casted and posted at the end of the month periodically. Here in the fifth example, what is being mentioned is omitting to post an amount. Therefore, clearly this is referring only to the immediate posting to the vendor accounts and not at all to the casting and posting to the purchase account. Be very clear about this. Therefore, the example will be as follows. Taking the first example that we discussed, the purchase day book has two entries. Purchase from A rupees 100 and purchase from B rupees 200. Therefore, the posting will be as follows in the general ledger. A's account should be credited with 100, but you have omitted to post A's account immediately. B's account has been posted correctly immediately with rupees 200. Purchase account will be casted and posted, correct? Remember that the example is omitting to post an amount from subsidiary book and not omitting to record. Since the transaction of purchase from A has been recorded in the purchase day book, when you cast the purchase day book at the end of the month, you will definitely be able to see the 100 rupee purchase from A and the 200 purchase from B. Therefore, in all fairness, you will total it only as 300. Therefore, casting will be for rupees 300, and hence at the end of the month, you will debit the purchase ledger account in the general ledger with rupees 300 only. Be very clear. Okay? Because you have recorded it in the purchase day book, in casting you will not miss it. Now your TB will look as follows. A on the credit side will not at all appear because you have not posted it. B will appear on the credit column, in the credit column with 200 rupees. Purchase in the debit column with 300 rupees. Therefore, now you are able to visualize that it is not balancing. But I repeat, you are now rectifying it in stage 1 when the TB has not been prepared. Therefore, you will use only single side adjustment, and since you have identified the error that A's account has not been credited, you will open A's ledger account in the general ledger, and on the credit side you will write by way of a single side adjustment by omission to post the entry, and we will write rupees 100. Now the TB will look as follows. A credit column 100, B credit column 200, purchase debit column 300, and it tallies. The same example if you were to rectify as part of stage 2, which means you have opened the trial balance. Therefore, the trial balance before rectification appears once again as follows. A does not appear, B on credit side, a credit column 200 rupees, purchase debit column 300 rupees. Since TB is out, you will open a suspense account in credit column for 100 rupees. And when you identify the error, you will now pass a journal entry in the following manner. Debit the suspense account 100 rupee, credit A's ledger account 100 rupee. Once you post this journal, you will realize that the suspense ledger account will become 0 and A's ledger account will reflect a closing credit balance of 100 rupees. Now, if you prepare a trial balance, it will appear as follows. A in the credit column 100, B in the credit column 200, purchase in the debit column 300. Therefore, it now tallies. Example 5 is over. Moving on with example 6, omitting to post the totals of subsidiary book Observe the fine difference between example 5 and example 6. Example 5 said omitting to post an amount which referred to the customer or the vendor. Here it is stating in example 6 omitting to post the totals, meaning casting, meaning the vendor accounts in the case of purchase day book has been posted immediately, but then the casting which has been done has been failed to be posted to the respective purchase account or sales account. Okay, be very clear. Let us take the same example of purchase day book. Because of recording the two transactions in the purchase day book, the entries and the casting of the purchase day book is for rupees 300. The ledger accounts in the general ledger must appear as follows. I am saying must appear. Means ideally, A's ledger account credit rupees 100, B's ledger account credit 200, and purchase ledger account after casting must be debited with rupees 300, which has not happened because the example states omitting to post the totals. Now if you imagine a trial balance, write and see. It appears as follows. A in the credit column 100, B in the credit column 200, nothing in the debit column. Since the TB doesn't tally, now you realize there is an error. You have to rectify it. Now since you are in stage 1, you know that you have not prepared a TB, but still you have been able to realize there is an error. To rectify, you use a single side adjustment because this is a single side error only. Correct? So you will only go to the purchase ledger account. On the debit side, you will write by error in posting and write rupees 300. After this, if you prepare a TB, it appears as follows. A in the credit column 100, B in the credit column 200, purchase in the debit column 300, and it perfectly tallies. Now, if the same example were to be rectified using stage 2, which means after preparation of trial balance, then you would have compulsorily opened a suspense account. Imagine how the trial balance was looking like before opening the suspense account. A in the credit side 100, B in the credit side 200, nothing on the debit side. Therefore, you would have opened a suspense account with rupees 300 in the debit column of the trial balance. In the general ledger, you would have opened a suspense account. On the debit side, you will write to difference in TB rupees 300. Now, once you identify the reason for the difference or the error, you will then record a rectification journal entry as follows. Debit purchase account debit 300 to suspense account 300. Once you post this journal in the ledger, you will be able to realize that the suspense account will become 0 and the purchase ledger account will now show a debit balance of rupees 300. Now the revised TB will look as follows. A in the credit column 100, B in the credit column 200, purchase in the debit column 300, and the rectification is done. Now, with respect to example 7, omitting to write the cash book balance in the trial balance. I have already explained to you even during subsidiary book session as well as cash bank book session that the cash bank book is a principal book as well as a subsidiary book because with respect to the cash bank balance, it feeds the information directly to the trial balance, and with regard to the other leg of the transaction, it will go only through the general ledger, and therefore with regard to the other leg, it is a subsidiary book. Now look at this example. Omitting to write the cash book balance in the trial balance. So you are omitting only the cash balance to be recorded in the TB, meaning the other leg will come to the trial balance through the general ledger. Therefore, I will leave this to you to analyze and see. The trial balance will definitely be out of order. I have explained in detail 6 examples so you can take the same analysis and progress. 8th example, omitting to write the balance of an account in the trial balance. Now from the general ledger, if you omit only salaries account which shows a balance of 50,000 debit in the trial balance, then obviously your trial balance will be out by 50,000. So rectification will be done based on whether you are in stage 1 or stage 2. 9th example, writing a balance in wrong column of the trial balance. I guess the same analysis. And 10th one, totaling the trial balance wrongly. Well, with regard to the 10th one, let me clarify. Once you have prepared a trial balance, you are not in stage 1, you are in stage 2 of rectification. And if you have not committed any error in balancing the various ledger accounts, and you have not made any mistake in transporting those ledger account balances to the trial balance, but the error appears only when you total the trial balance. In the first place, this is a very weird situation, correct? Because but nevertheless can happen. Now, why do I say weird? If suppose you have a trial balance which is as follows: cash account on the debit side 100, debtors account on the debit side 500, and the debit side total is 600. Let's assume capital on the credit side must also be 600. Okay, but though you have written 100 cash and 500 as debtors, if you total the debit side column as 500 only, the credit side is 600. Nothing is wrong. You have brought the balances correctly, correct? So you will compulsorily be required to open a suspense account. It looks like that at the moment. But just imagine, if you open a suspense account with 100 rupees, now when you prepare a balance sheet, at that time, you will once again check at the time of preparing the balance sheet. How would you do it? You will write on the liability side, capital is 600 rupee. On the debit, on the asset side, you will write cash is 100, debtors is 500. When you total, you will observe the balance sheet is perfectly balancing. And therefore, you will come back and realize, I think I have totaled my trial balance incorrectly. So I would think this kind of a thing is a very rare situation where the error will be allowed to persist into the next year. Okay. Then we move on to the category B, which is errors that do not affect the trial balance. The first example, omitting an entry altogether from the subsidiary book. Now let us go back to our first example, purchase made from A 100. If you fail to record it in the purchase day book itself, then obviously you will not post it immediately to A's ledger account as a credit. Since you have not written it in the purchase day book, there is no question of you including that 100 in your casting because it does not appear in the purchase day book itself. Therefore, what do you realize? When you omit an entry altogether from the subsidiary book, both the debit side and the credit side are omitted, and hence the trial balance will naturally tally. It's difficult to identify such kind of errors. So such kind of errors can be rectified whether you are in stage 1 or stage 2 only by using a journal entry and nothing else. You can't pass a single-sided judgment for this. Okay. 2. Making an entry with the wrong amount in the subsidiary book. The purchase made from A for 100 rupees has been recorded as 150 in the subsidiary book, in the purchase day book. The purchase made from B was recorded correctly at 200 rupees. Okay. Now just imagine what will be the impact. When you update A's ledger account immediately, since you have written in the purchase day book 150 wrongly, you will update there also 150 only. And B's account will also be updated with 200. And purchase day book, when you cast, you will cast it as 150 plus 200 is equal to 350. Therefore, your trial balance will appear as follows. A in credit side 150, B in credit side 200, purchase in debit side 350. It perfectly tallies. So very difficult to identify. If at all you identify, you have to pass only a journal entry to rectify and not a single side adjustment. Okay. And the journal entry will be debit A's account with 50 rupees, credit purchase account with 50 rupees. And the third case is posting an amount in a wrong account but on the credit side, on the correct side. Suppose your entry was salary debit 5,000 to cash, and by mistake you go and debit wages account instead of salary account. Now look at your trial balance. It should have appeared as salary debit column 5,000, cash credit column 5,000, assuming that, well, hypothetical case, cash shows a credit balance. Okay, we just want to understand the concept. Instead of appearing as salary in debit column 5,000 and cash credit column 5,000, it appears as wages debit column 5,000 to cash credit column 5,000. The trial balance perfectly tallies. But if you are able to identify the error, you will then rectify it only by way of a journal entry, and it will be as follows. Salary account debit 5,000 to wages account credit 5,000, and then the error stands rectified. Now, a note of caution with respect to those errors that do not affect the trial balance. Now, such kind of errors, when you rectify, whether you are in stage 1 or stage 2, meaning before preparation of trial balance or after preparation of trial balance, whichever way it is, you have to compulsorily use only a journal entry to rectify them. And when you use a journal entry to rectify them, you will never need the suspense account to rectify them. Why? Because since they have not affected the trial balance, they would definitely not be parked in the suspense account at all. Correct? Because in the suspense account, only those balances will be parked which contribute to a difference in the trial balance, and not those which do not contribute to a difference in the trial balance. Correct? And hopefully the last concept in rectification of errors that we are about to discuss will be the third stage of rectification, which is after the final accounts have been prepared. Till now, the second stage was after the trial balance is prepared, but of course before preparation of financial statements. Now the last stage is you are finished with preparing your financial statements as well. Meaning you have now shifted to the next accounting year. Now, you are already having an error from the past year which is being carried forward to the next year. And now you are in the next accounting period. Okay. Now you have identified the errors that have occurred in the previous accounting period and you want to rectify them. Now, when you want to rectify them, first realize that if there were errors which have cropped up in the previous year, which do not affect the trial balance, they would still definitely have to be rectified in the current year. Okay. For example, if an entry was omitted to be recorded itself. Okay. And for those errors that would have occurred in the previous accounting period, which affected the trial balance, the total amount of error would certainly be parked in the suspense account. Correct? And the suspense account, if it shows a debit balance, would be shown in the financial statements as part of other current assets. And if it shows a credit balance, the suspense account, then would be shown as other current liabilities. Okay. Now, in the next accounting period, when you want to rectify. Now, irrespective of whether the error that has occurred in the previous year has affected the trial balance or has not affected the trial balance, the following is what is done. We will first try to identify one aspect. The error which has occurred in the previous year relates to what type of account, meaning what is the nature of the account that is impacted by the error. In other words, does the error impact an account which is real account in nature or personal account in nature or nominal account in nature? Okay. Then the next step is, if it affects a real account or a personal account, then we don't have any major issues. But if the error of the previous year relates to a nominal account, then we have to adopt a special method to rectify the error, okay, in the next accounting year. For example, if we have missed to record a sales made in the last year worth 1 lakh, then in the next year when we are going to rectify, now whether, if you missed to record a sales, if you missed to record, then obviously suspense account will not contain it. But then if we have posted the recorded the entry in the sale day book and updated the customer account but failed to include it in the sales account, then the difference will lie in the suspense account. Correct? Okay. Now we are concerned with the fact that the error lies with respect to a nominal account, as sales is a nominal account, an income account. Now when you want to rectify, please appreciate the following concept. In the previous year, since you have not recorded 1 lakh as sales, now in the next year when you want to rectify, you might tend to think that if I have missed it completely, then I will record the entry as customer account debit to sales account in the current year. And if I have missed recording it only in the sales account, then I will debit suspense account and credit sales account in the next year. Correct? Now just consider the impact in the current year. In the current year, if your sales is going to be 20 lakhs, excluding this 1 lakh, okay? And the GP that you have earned in the current year is going to be 5 lakhs, excluding this 1 lakh, okay? Then your GP ratio is 5 lakhs divided by 20 lakhs is equal to 25%, which is purely the next year's GP ratio. Correct? Means transactions relating only to the next year only. Now, since you are now rectifying a previous year error in the current year by crediting the sales account, your sales account will now not show a balance of 20 lakhs but will show a balance of 21 lakhs. Correct? Therefore, your GP also will become, instead of 5 lakhs, it will become 6 lakhs. Now try dividing 6 lakhs by 21 lakhs. Do you get the same 25% or do you get something different? So what we notice is ratios and all get affected if errors pertaining to nominal accounts are allowed to be impacted in the nominal account itself in the next year. Not only the fact that ratios are affected, lot of investors, readers of financial statements are largely concerned about the P&L part, the revenue generation, the expenses incurred by the establishment. And when they look at 21 lakhs in place of 20 lakhs of sales, they feel more elated or happy that the company has been able to make a sales worth 21 lakhs, whereas that is not the case. It's only 20 lakhs in the current year. 1 lakh relates to the previous year's error which is rectified now. Therefore, to actually inform the readers appropriately so that their decision-making ability is not materially affected, the materiality concept that we learned, what we do is when we rectify an error pertaining to a nominal account in the next accounting year, we open a separate ledger account titled as prior period items or profit and loss adjustment account. Now, in the next year when we are rectifying this entry, we will debit either the customer account and credit the prior period item or profit and loss adjustment account and not the sales account. Or if we have opened a suspense in the previous year, we will debit the suspense ledger account and credit not the sales account, but the prior period item or the profit and loss adjustment account. Now, when you do this, in the next year, your sales account and the trading account will show only 20 lakhs and not 21 lakhs. So your GP does not get affected. Now, when you come to your NP Of course, this 1 lakh will be included in the NP in the next year, but then the reader of a financial statement, when he or she notices that there is a prior period item or a profit and loss adjustment account appearing for 1 lakh, they know that this is something which is exceptional in nature. It is an error that is getting rectified of the previous years, and hence they are at least cautioned about it. So you need to be careful when you are rectifying an error pertaining to a nominal account which has occurred in the previous years but is being rectified in the subsequent years. This rule is not applicable, or this concept is not applicable when you rectify errors pertaining to real or personal accounts which have occurred in the previous accounting period. When you rectify errors that have occurred in the real account or personal account in the previous year, in the next year when you rectify them, you will use the same real account or the personal account and nothing else. Okay. Now also realize that when machinery account is wrongly debited in the previous year, that will also impact your depreciation calculation. And depreciation is a nominal account. Machinery account is a real account, but depreciation is a nominal account. Therefore, now when you rectify that error in the next year, when to the extent to which you have to rectify it in the machinery account, you are free to go and touch the machinery account itself. But to the extent to which you have to impact the depreciation account, you must go and touch the prior period item or the profit and loss adjustment account if the rectification is being done in the next accounting period. But if you do it in the same accounting period, well, there's no issue at all. You can touch the depreciation account itself, okay? Because these rules, concepts will be applicable when you spend something on repairing a machinery which is to be capitalized, but then you have gone and debited repairs account. Instead of capitalizing, you debited the repairs account. So it can impact your depreciation as well, okay? With this, I guess rectification of entries comes to a closure. Be very careful when you solve questions. I wish you best of luck. This is CA MS Swaminathan from Sai CA Coaching Center signing off.